Everyone is speaking out about this. And as the Toronto Maple Leafs lost a brutal game to the Washington Capitals in a game that saw Matt Murray look very shaky, fans, media, everybody alike is speaking out on the Leafs' current goaltender situation and the impact that Dennis Hildeby could have compared to Matt Murray. We're going to break that down and discuss what this means going forward as the Leafs are entering a very important stretch of games in the month of January. Stay tuned for all that in this episode, folks. Before we get into it, quick reminder, hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, it's the place to be for daily Leafs content. So make sure to hit that button as we are approaching 2025. We're going to continue to have daily Leafs content for you all. With Darius, it's a big talking point. The Leafs obviously had a brutal loss yesterday against the Washington Capitals. They were in the game. They're missing their best player in Austin Matthews. But the big question that came up from that, we talked about it in our stream yesterday. Fans are really talking about the goaltender situation. Something that started as a huge strength for the team with Anthony Stolarz and Joseph Woll has now turned into a big question mark, and that is surrounding, in this case, Matt Murray versus Dennis Hildeby. And we know on December 21st, Matt Murray was assigned to the Marlies. Hildeby was called up. And then, of course, that was just for, waiver exemptions. But Darius, now the question is, A, who they rock going forward, and B, what do they do surrounding their goalie situation? Because you have Joseph Woll, who's looked shaky. You have Matt Murray, who's looked very shaky. And you have Dennis Hildeby, who looks good in the Marlies, but has also looked quite shaky at the NHL level.
I think even the best goalies in the league have games sometimes where you want more out of them. And I think that is true for Joseph Woll in the last little while too. But he's also put together some really good performances. I thought he was pretty good against the Red Wings just the other night. So I don't think that that is a problem specifically. I think that he's fine. But the second goaltender, the backup option, now that Anthony Stolarz is out until, possibly February at this point, has become a big question mark. And I'm still going to lean on the side of having Matt Murray over Dennis Hildeby in the NHL. Again, you have to keep in mind the Washington Capitals are a pretty good team. Were some of the goals stinkers, and would you want them back? Yes, but you know what you have in Matt Murray, and I think it's still a decent option as a backup, and we'll get to it later in the video. The schedule gets a little bit easier, so we might not see too much of Matt Murray unless something happens down the stretch here, but I am still leaning towards having Matt Murray with the Toronto Maple Leafs rather than Dennis Hildeby. I think it's important that Dennis Hildeby goes down to the Marlies, continues to develop. He got a shutout just the other day, so he can boost his confidence. I think confidence goes a long way with goaltenders, and I think the Leafs play a little bit scared in front of guys who have less experience, like Dennis Hildeby, for example. And we've seen it at multiple times during this season, earlier this season, and obviously just a couple weeks ago. So I would still lean towards Matt Murray personally, but we'll get into why in a bit as well.
Yeah, and obviously, most of the back-to-backs were in the month of December. So now they're going to have less in January, like we'll dive into a little bit here. But we know that kind of from David Alteris, and Murray remains the third option in goal. The move was likely made to protect his roster status. Meanwhile, Hildeby, being waiver exempt, can easily step into the backup role because Murray is subject to waivers. And again, for people who are confused about why they're going up and down with Matt Murray, this is the reason why. But as you start to look at what it means now, you look at Matt Murray, had an optimistic view of his performance post-game. A lot of good things, but the real dagger for us was that fourth one. We were doing so well, had a chance to come back and tie the game, and I'm not sure how it went in. When asked if he's still readjusting to the speed of the NHL game, Murray provided a candid self-assessment. A little bit. I definitely had a long time off. There are 1 to 2 times a game where I'm a little bit late to picking up traffic, that type of thing. That happened a couple times tonight, so I've got to clean that up. And obviously, goaltending is a difficult task. Obviously, everything in the NHL is a difficult task. But for somebody who's been around for so long, obviously won the Cup with the Penguins, all these different things, for him to now come back and step into probably a higher elevated role than he initially thought he was going to at this early of his return, even though I'm sure he's very grateful for the opportunity, he does look a little bit indecisive out there at times. And he kind of says why that is. And it's because he's late picking up traffic, whether that's in front of the net, whether that's, of course, getting screened, the power play, all these different things. As penalty kill. It's at the point now where fans are a little bit worried about Matt Murray regarding, the Leafs goaltending situation. And I'll take it further than Matt Murray. I'm not concerned about Joseph Woll or anything like that, but this goaltending situation isn't as good as it was. And that's, of course, because Anthony Stolarz is out. And Joseph Woll's coming off a great game. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a little bit, again, he has been injured in the past, and he's going to have to do a lot of work now. We saw some talks on the panel about Joseph Woll going in back-to-backs, which is something that is a bit concerning to me, given his injury history. It's just a bit of I think Joseph Woll is a very good goalie. It's just a bit of a scary situation right now when you're looking at it from the perspective of their depth it's there, but it's not exactly the depth that they once had literally 3 weeks ago prior to the injury.
I think we all underestimated when you look at it on paper. Matt Murray coming back, we were like, okay, they really shored up the goaltending position here, right? And you have two great options in the Marlies as well, but they're going to have to continue to develop. There's still a pretty big gap between the NHL and the AHL. We're seeing it right now. Dennis Hildeby, again, like I mentioned, got a shutout just a couple games ago, and he's putting together decent numbers. Axiomov as well, putting together a crazy season with the Marlies. So I wouldn't touch them too early, right? Leave them down there to develop, get their confidence up. And when you look at Matt Murray as a backup option going, into this next month. I mean, we had a very, very busy month. I mean, the timing of Anthony Stolarz getting hurt was not ideal, right? And heading into January, there's only one back-to-back. So we may not see a lot of, if not any, of Matt Murray next month because obviously, like the panel was talking about, maybe you play Joseph Woll in that back-to-back against Boston and Philly, but I wouldn't do that. We know his injury history. You have to set up this goaltender to succeed. They talked about it, in the exit interviews last year. Bachelor Living was saying exactly that. We have to set Joe up to succeed. So I think that's what they're going to do. So we might see one game of Matt Murray here. But again, I think Matt Murray has to stay as the backup here. I think it's crucial right now for the development of Dennis Hildeby to be with the Marlies and continue getting starts there and to play a confident game. Because again, I think the Leafs play scared when they have a guy with a little experience or a guy who's not on top of his game playing back there in the crease. Every team's flow to their game, their confidence through their game and how they play goes through your goaltender. I do believe that. So again, I think that they're going to have to just weather the storm here until Stolarz gets back. And Joseph Woll is going to play a lot next month, but they do have a couple opponents that I think that Matt Murray could see, but it's still a busy month, but no back-to-backs.
Yeah, they play 12 games in the month of January, maybe a little bit more than that, at least 12 games in the first 25 days. And you look at it from the perspective of course, they play the Islanders right off rip. Hopefully, they can get some revenge after the brutal loss. But they have one back-to-back, but it is the first week, so it's not going to be when Stolarz is maybe nearing a return. It's going to be
busy.
the first week of January, and it is this upcoming Saturday and Sunday against a very good Boston Bruins team. So you'd assume Joseph Woll is going to start that one, and then the Flyers, who not very good, but we've been saying that, and the Leafs have lost to good teams or bad teams and good teams in the past. And as you look at Matt Murray's stats this season, he's only played 2 games, but a brutal save percentage. And I mean, goals against average as well isn't great. You want to look at save percentage more though, but 879 save percentage, where you look at, Dennis Hildeby, equally as bad. So it's the third string goalies that the Leafs had, and all this depth has kind of turned into lackluster play. And again, I'm not blaming Dennis Hildeby. He's very young. He has time to develop. I'm sure Akhtiamov, if he came up, it would be interesting to see what he does. But surrounding Matt Murray, I think if you give him time, he'll probably hover around that 900 save percentage mark, maybe high 800s, which again, not great. But I think at this point, you want anything you can get out of these guys. And if the Leafs, like you mentioned, Matt Murray is only going to start maybe a handful more games this season, depending on how severe Anthony Stolarz' injury is. And if it gets better, it could even be less than that. Hopefully he can find his footing and get back to it being an average goalie. And also, in the same breath, if Joseph Woll starts to falter at all, things will start to get a little bit more interesting. But I think Joseph Woll will be good. Any final thoughts on this before we wrap up? It's a very busy time for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yes, it is. And I think that, we were talking about it on stream last night that is this concerning? Yes, it's concerning. Is it a problem? I don't think we're there yet. I don't know if it's a problem yet. We're going to have to see, the first week and a half of this month coming up here of the new year, because it is still busy, but it's going to slow down a little bit. And obviously February, they have 2 weeks off. So things might improve on the injury front. And one last thing before we wrap up here, Team Canada plays tonight against Germany. So Easton Cowan will be in action, and Czechia also plays tonight. So Holenka, who's another Leafs prospect, will be in action this afternoon as well. So a couple guys to keep an eye on in terms of prospects. And Canada coming off a pretty crazy loss to Latvia there. So they're wanting to avenge themselves there, but should be interesting.
Yeah, we don't talk about that Latvia loss here, but that'll wrap it up. Let us know below your thoughts. And again, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest news. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys later.